What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Accelerate Your Life podcast. As always, I am your host, Mallory Marks. Solo episode today. We're doing a little freestyle episode today. You already can probably tell from the obviously the title of the episode. We're going to be talking about alcohol, reevaluating your relationship with it. Maybe going to give you some takeaways to kind of just think on. And I just feel like this is coming at a perfect time for me. I've been thinking about this a lot for myself. We did an episode a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, on just how to track alcohol and in incorporating alcohol into a health and fitness journey. And I feel like anytime I do an episode or content or anything about alcohol, especially if I'm coming at it from a point of view that seems to like paint alcohol in a negative light, I always need to emphasize that, guys, I'm not anti-alcohol. I love a good spicy margarita. Most of you know that, okay? I talk about it all the time. I post pictures of me having a good spicy marg now and then. I love a good craft beer. Like, I like to drink socially and still have fun. However, my relationship with alcohol has been something that has very, very much evolved over the last few years. And I feel like I'm in a really good place with it now. Still a work in progress. Okay. I am not perfect by any means. I still absolutely have date mornings where I wake up and I'm like, I drank too much. That was unnecessary. Or even if it's not too much, right? I'm like, I didn't really need to have alcohol in that setting. Like, and I reevaluate, like, why did I choose to have it? Like, I'm not perfect with anything I'm ever talking about with health, fitness, life, nature, anything. I am most likely living that experience in real time as well and just giving you my honest thoughts about it and my reflections on it. And that's always what I've tried to say from the beginning, the inception of like my fitness health Instagram is like, this is me figuring this all out on my own journey too. And something that I think has always been my superpower is that I'm like, I think I'm incredibly average. And I say that in the most loving way to myself, right? What I mean by that is like, I'm just a normal average person. I'm not like, I don't have these super amazing like fitness genes. I'm not the best athlete ever. Like, but I'm also, I'm average, right? And so, like, I feel like I live normal experiences as people. I have to, work the same amount as people, whatever. So, all of that to say, my point is to show you that, like, if I can do something, you can do it too. Or even when it comes to like this conversation today, like, I struggle with the same kind of mindset and thoughts and social pressures and everything around alcohol. So, that's kind of my disclaimer on all of this. Is this is not coming from like a point of view of, oh, I'm on my high horse up here about this. Like, no, I'm still in the trenches with this too, or this is kind of where I've gotten with it. And I've had some of these conversations with clients a lot recently too. And so I just felt like doing a full episode on it and having you be able to to maybe reflect on some of these things would be really helpful. I'm not 2 weeks without drinking. I did have one single glass of wine with a nice, very nice meal that I had out to eat last week. But besides that one glass of wine, I have had the last 2 weekends. I haven't had any alcohol, which is not like 2 weeks. Great, it's not that big of a stint, right? But I think just noting that, like, especially living in one of the most social drinking cities in the country, like, I think it's also easy to think that in order to be social, like you have to do things around alcohol. Maybe I should add this to the list today. But I think like what I wanted to show is that's not true either. I've had an amazing last 2 weeks here. Lots of social things on both weekends that incorporated nothing around alcohol. So that is possible as well. But anyway, all of that to say, today's episode, I've got a list of 5 things that I think people use as a excuse for drinking. Not a reason. Like, there are actual valid reasons for drinking, but I think there's 5 things that I think people use as an excuse to justify utilizing alcohol that I don't think are valid reasons. And this is just my opinion. It might rub people the wrong way. Fine. This episode's, well, actually, I would argue this episode's very for you if I rub you the wrong way. I would caution you to think, why is this rubbing you the wrong way? Because if you can't be neutral about some of these things, then like obviously I just think you're taking a very, like it's something. I won't go there. But I think that I think you should reevaluate that. But yeah, more than anything, I just think these are like 5 things I hear commonly from clients, commonly from other people. Of like, I don't know, it's just I want to decrease my alcohol use, right? Just so hard because it's this, because it's that, and a lot of them are just excuses. Okay, so we're gonna break those down. Why they're excuses, my thoughts around them. Again, disclaimer: this is all just my opinion, right? But first and foremost, I think one of the first ones that I had heard recently from a client, and it just got me on such a passion train, is the excuse that it just feels nice. It just feels nice to have a glass of wine while I cook my dinner every night. It just feels nice to, have that in the evening. It just feels nice to blah 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 blah. Okay. And this was somebody who we were really working on trying to be a little bit more dialed in with their nutrition. They had some weight they wanted to lose, and they were just telling me how they weren't willing to give up their glass of wine that they had every night while cooking dinner. And their excuse was, I don't know, it just feels nice. It's hard to give up. Okay. I went on a freaking tangent with this client, or not a tangent, but a rant. I just got so passionate and fired up because there's a lot of things in life that feel nice. Okay. But something feeling nice does not equate with it being good for you. And I think all I need to say though, like, is the example of, for a heroin addict, it sure as hell feels nice to shoot up some heroin in that moment for them. That does not mean it is good for them. That does not mean it's leading them down a better path in life. That does not mean it's getting them closer to their goals, right? It feels nice to go have fast food in that moment when it would be like when you're in a rush or when you're out on the go, and it feels a lot nicer to, number one, not have to cook, and to number two, have some food that probably tastes pretty good in that moment. But it does not feel nice the next day when your digestion is shit. It does not feel nice a week later when you're looking back on why the scale has went up. It doesn't feel nice a year later when your cholesterol is high, right? Just because something feels nice in the moment does not mean it is the best option for you long term. So when it comes to alcohol, it feeling nice in that moment, it feeling nice to take the edge off, it feeling nice to have that buzz, it feeling nice to taste that glass of red wine with your cooking, it doesn't mean it's conducive to your goals and what's going to feel nice tomorrow or the next day. We all know it doesn't always feel nice the next day, right? And again, this is not anti-alcohol. This is not to say that you shouldn't like ever enjoy it. And it is okay sometimes to indulge. It is okay sometimes to grab fast food now and then. I'm not going to say it's okay to shoot a heroin now and then, but it's okay to indulge in some of these things. But indulgence is a word that we use because typically it means indulge. I usually think the connotation with indulge comes with like rarity too. Like it's an infrequent thing that you're like, it's a special treat, right? Indulgent. So allowing yourself something that feels nice every now and then, fine. But using that as a reason for something every single day, all the time, we need to think more like long term as well. And is this going to feel nice in other ways down the road? So I think that negates one of the first reasons to utilize alcohol, as far as it just feels nice. The second one I commonly hear all the time is, it's really helpful for me to wind down. It just helps me wind down at night. It helps takes the edge off. It helps me fall asleep. Okay. This is honestly all bullshit. I'm not saying that inherently in that moment, it doesn't maybe make you relax a little bit and it doesn't maybe help you fall asleep a little bit quicker, but it does not have the actual bigger benefits that you're thinking it does when it comes to helping you wind down and relax. Okay. Alcohol has been time and time shown again and proved again to worsen sleep. It it affects insomnia a lot more, and even people who don't have true insomnia, it often causes you to wake up a lot more during the night and makes it a lot more difficult to fall asleep. It also has been shown in many, many studies to have a negative effect on REM sleep, which REM sleep is the deepest sleep that we get. It's where you have most of your vivid dreams, and dreaming is important. And it's also the most restorative form of sleep. So if you're not spending an adequate amount of time in REM, you're not, first of all, you're not recovering like physically. Your body's not having the time it needs, like muscular wise, to repair. It's not having the time it needs to do a lot of the cell reparation that it needs to do. It's also not having a lot of time. I think it has, I'm not no expert on this, but I know I've read stuff before about how like storing memories and things with your brain, like it doesn't have the time it needs to do that. And so it can be shown, to have worsen effects on memory, on impair obviously like your physical goals as well, because we're not having that time to work like that is at rest is when your body is going to do most of its actual like building muscle. Like that's where it's actually putting that all together. So if we're not spending enough time in REM, we're not going to see that. And then I also saw a study that showed even just one drink for women and two drinks for men decreases sleep quality by 24%. That's huge. And that's just one drink. So now, you pile even if you're somebody, and this is me, again, talking to me, I'm not perfect. I still do this. But like have your one night out a week where you maybe have 5 drinks, 6 drinks, like it's impairing your sleep quality a ton. Okay. So thinking that like having that glass of wine is actually helping you wind down and relax, like it's not doing what you think it is in the bigger picture. And I think the big like thing we need to point out here is that there's probably a deeper like root of why is that? Why do we need to take the edge off? Why do we need to wind down? And I know we all live in a very like high strung, stressful day and age, and like we all want to just relax and decompress after a long day, after work. And there's going to be days where we truly do need to decompress. But what can we, number one, I would say, like, what can we from like proactively do to better our day and better our life as a whole to not have this big like moment at the end of the day where we just like finally it's over, finally we get to decompress. Like what can we be doing to actually just be enjoying the time throughout the day? Not to say there's not going to be stressful points of the day. But I would look at trying to like romanticize life a little bit more. Look at how can you look like work on your maybe your calendar a little bit more, or your commitments, your obligations, your mindset around life, to not just like feel like every day by the end of the day is like thank God it's over, right? But let's say we maybe can't change everything. Maybe you're a busy parent, maybe you're working full time and then you're coming home and trying to cook for a family of 5. I don't know. Like, it's gonna be really hard to make that, very, like, stress-free, right? But then in that case, what other coping mechanisms besides a glass of alcohol can we use? Can reading for 10 minutes before bed be that thing that puts us in more of a, sympathetic state and takes our mind off of things? Can journaling help us do that and brain dump? Can meditation and taking even just 5 minutes to take deep breaths in, slow breaths out, that has the same effect that having a glass of alcohol can have in terms of relaxation, but the all other benefits in the bigger picture are gonna be much better. I would even rather you see just using mindless TV, an hour of TV, at night to wind down over, having a just a glass of wine. A bath, like, there's so many other coping mechanisms that we can use to wind down, so if you're somebody where this is your reasoning, I would challenge you to look at other things we can do and see how much maybe better you feel even after just a week of switching your coping mechanism, for lack of a better term, of how you're feeling energetically. And I bet you'll have to use a coping mechanism less when that coping mechanism is not alcohol. Okay. The next three little kind of reasons and excuses I hear for utilizing alcohol, maybe more than you would like, are all pretty similar. Okay, so some of the things I'm going to say, they bleed into each other. But the next one being that it just makes me more fun. It makes me have more fun. So it makes me more fun in terms of like how other people might view you, and then it makes you have more fun. Like you have more fun at that event if you are drinking. Okay, here's my challenge for you. If you have to have alcohol at something to have more fun or to have fun, I won't say more because maybe like, sure, maybe it's something you'd already have fun at. And if you had a little buzz, you'd have even more fun because you're a little bit more free to dance or whatever. Let's just say if you need to have it to have fun, you should not actually be at that event. Okay. Ask yourself that. Should I actually be here? If I was sober, would I want to be here? Would I be having fun? If the answer is no, why are you there? Okay, do not go to something that you have to drink at to have fun. Like that, we have such finite time in our day. We have such finite energy. We just talked about in the last one how we have so much going on. Most people, so much going on. We're stressed by the end of the day. Why are you going to take your free time that you have to go do something that you have to get drunk at to have fun? Like, and again, anything I say, this is all from my own past experience, because this was me in college. Like, I would be like, "Oh, okay, if I'm gonna go to this pregame, I gotta take 10 shots so that I'm having fun." Like, why am I there? And I think so many of us still do this because we are afraid of fear of missing out. We're afraid of being judged if we're not there. I don't know what we're afraid of, but like, why do we freaking care if we missed out on something that we wouldn't have fun at regardless? Okay. So ask yourself, do you actually like this activity that we're doing? Do you actually like this setting that we're in? Do you actually like these people that are here? And if the answer to any of those are no, if you don't like any of those things sober, get the hell out of there. Don't go. Okay. So, my personal rule is I actually only will have a drink if this is something that if I didn't have a drink, I would be having fun at. So, I have to be having fun and would be having fun regardless and would go to regardless, whether if I'm having a drink or not. And that is the only time that like I will have a drink, is if it's adding to the situation and just is something I want to enjoy with my friends. It adds to the experience, but it doesn't make the experience. Okay. So yeah, my take there is if you think you need it to have more fun, don't even freaking go. The next thing is, again, kind of similar, but the reason being, like, a reason I hear people say is that it makes me more comfortable in social settings, right? I feel more like I can relax. I feel more comfortable. I feel more myself. I feel less awkward. Okay, again, same kind of thing I said on the last one. Do you actually like these people? Do you like, if you have to have a drink to feel comfortable around these, to feel like to feel accepted around these people, get the hell out of there, okay? If they don't accept you for you and you feel like you have to be lubricated and you like, they're not your people, okay? A like group of friends, family, like they should love you for you whether you're drinking or not. And if you are becoming somebody that they like while you're drinking, it's not even you. Like, I think that there's always been that saying of like, drunk, what is it? Drunk thoughts are sober truths. I do not believe that anymore. Like, no, drunk thoughts are drunk thoughts. Okay. We say shit we would never say when we are drunk. So if you are feeling like you have to, like the only way that you're accepted and comfortable is if you're drinking, that's not even you. That's like your drunk alter ego. So why do you want to be there with those people? And then the second part of this, I think even more like important, and I think this is going to fire some people up or rub some people the wrong way. And if this rubs you the wrong way or makes you be like, oh shit, like please do some work on this. And it's not going to be easy work, but do you accept you for you? Because I think a lot of this has honestly less to do with what other people actually think about us, but what we're worried people think about us. And what's really happening there is that you're not confident in yourself, so you have to be lubricated and a little bit buzzed by alcohol in order for you to feel more confident. It's not even that you think, oh, like the other people are finding you cooler or the other people are actually finding you cooler. It's that you're now finding yourself cooler because you don't accept you or love you or think you're cool enough or are confident in yourself enough to be comfortable without having a drink. And that is some work that you need to do. It is some work that I have had to do. And I've had to really get to a place where I think I'm freaking awesome. Regardless if I have a drink in me or not, I'm going to hold my own. I'm going to be the same person. I'm going to make the same jokes. I'm going to have the same sense of humor. I'm going to be the same amount of awkwardness. And I still love that. Like, I love that about me. That's who I am, right? So you have to accept you for you. And again, if you have to like be lubricated in order to feel confident in yourself at a social setting. Number one, probably not a social setting you should be at. Number two, I really want you to do some work to fall in love with yourself first. And again, my rule is I don't get to use alcohol to make me more like happy with myself, right? I have to already be there. All right, last one that we'll talk about in this podcast episode is judgment. I think a lot of us fear that people are going to judge us if we're at a party, we're at a bar, and we're drinking water, or we're not having a drink at all. All right, biggest thing here: get the hell over yourself. All right, we are not the main character. We are the main character to only ourselves. Nobody gives as much of a shit about what you're doing as you think they do. Okay, so if you think everybody's looking at you, judging you for not holding a beer in your hand, like no one's looking at you. No one's looking at you. Okay. And if they do, because look, I know some people are gonna say something and be like, no, my friends are like, lame, you're being so lame. Why aren't you having a beer? You okay, if they care, do not care, or sorry, if they do care that you're not drinking and they're judging you, they are not your people. Okay. If they are not supporting your why, if you tell them like, I'm not drinking because I have these health and fitness goals, or I'm not drinking because it doesn't make me feel good. I'm not drinking because I just don't feel like it tonight. You don't freaking need to give a reason, but if you do and they don't like accept that, they aren't true friends. I did a reel about this last week, but your true friends and family and support system, people who support you, number one, there should really be no follow-up questions about why you aren't drinking, but maybe sometimes there are just out of curiosity. Okay. Some people just, I think that's another thing too, is people will ask out of sheer curiosity. They don't mean anything by it. But again, we're hypersensitive, like, oh my God, they're judging me. Nobody cares about it as much as you do. But if we feel they are judging us, and if they are, because I know there's still some of those people that'll be like, you're no fun anymore, you don't drink anymore. Not your true support system. A true support system is going to support you. And if they don't, there's one of two things probably happening here. Number one, they're fearful that you're going to change and you're becoming someone who's not going to accept them anymore because there's some sort of insecurity in them that you maybe think that, oh, well, people who drink now or people insert whatever. This could be about anything regarding a health and fitness goal or anything that somebody's doing to better serve themselves and they feel like their friends and family are not supporting them. It's likely because they are fearful if you upgrade, I'm using air quotes, but if you upgrade, if you better yourself in this way, you're going to look down on them and no longer like want them in your life. So it's an insecurity there, or it's they're recognizing that they're not capable of making that change themselves. So oftentimes this really is coming from an insecurity, but truly like a true support system should be able to set that aside and want you to succeed for whatever that is that you are looking for, you like whatever success you are looking for. So, all of that to say, if you are truly feeling judged, again, reevaluate that group, reevaluate those people, reevaluate that relationship because it's probably ain't for you. All right. And then back to kind of like back to putting it kind of on yourself. Like maybe you're feel like somebody's asking, right? Why aren't you drinking? And it's just pure curiosity. But you're feeling uncomfortable explaining why. Maybe you're feeling embarrassed by it. Maybe you feel like they're going to judge you. Maybe you don't feel comfortable explaining that you're like tracking your macros and you have these goals and you don't want to add it in. I want you to work on growing in more belief in what you're doing. I want you to be more confident in what you are doing. Because honestly, if you're not feeling comfortable and confident enough to actually explain like what you're working on or the reason you're trying to become this better version of you, you're probably having a little bit of doubt yourself and not totally bought into what you're trying to do. And you're probably struggling in other ways to actually stay consistent with it. And I have seen time and time again with myself and others that also when you're not able to like stand your ground or explain why you're doing something, it's also a lot easier for you to give in. And you're probably going to end up having that drink or have like again, because you are not rooted in that like belief enough in why you're doing something. So work on being more bought into what you're doing. Go back and think about your why. Why are you trying to limit alcohol in this context? But in anything else too, like why are you, you know, going to bed early and trying to wake up earlier? Why are you skipping, the party because you want to make sure you get a good workout in? Like, why? What is your why? And I don't just mean like, okay, because I want to lose weight. Okay, why? Okay, well, I want to be healthier. Why? Because I just really want to live a longer life for my kids. Get all the way to that why, because that's going to be what really roots you into it. Okay. But the last thing I will say to round out the judgment piece here is that in my experience, especially as I over the last couple years have gotten a lot more comfortable with saying no to alcohol, with going to a lot of social events where alcohol is there, but me just choosing not to drink in that moment, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with also answering these questions. And what I have found in my experience is number one, a lot of people don't freaking ask because they don't care. They don't care that you're not holding a beer. Okay. They just are like, great, cool for you. Just happy you're here. Or if they do, a lot of times it is truly out of curiosity. And I think we need to stop being so on the defense and thinking that they're judging us more than they are. And then when you do answer it, they're like, cool, that's awesome. And real experience from literally yesterday. I went and watched the Packers football game out at a bar. It's a known Packers bar here in Austin, which by the way, side note, I actually went by myself, which can be kind of scary. I was like, because none of my friends could go. And I was like, I want to watch the game out. So I went by myself to this bar. I did bring my dog, but I knew I wasn't going to be drinking, which also even a little bit more nerve wracking when you're going to be standing there alone and don't have that social lubrication. But again, I was like, if I need if I need the alcohol lubrication to feel comfortable in this setting, I should not be going anyway. So I challenged myself and I was like, no, I'm gonna go. So I have to go without it because because I felt a little, nervous. Um, and ended up making friends literally the second I walked in the bar. I had all my drinks bought for me, my non-alcoholic sparkling water, but those are like $5 each, so it adds up. Had all of those bought for me by amazing new friends, met a girl, sat with her boyfriend came, like they were great, sat with them the whole game. But anyway, all of that to say, I was sipping on my Richard sparkling water and she was like, oh, are you sober? And I was like, no, just choosing not to drink today. She's like, that's awesome. Hell yeah. And that was it. That was the extent of the conversation. No judgment. She just was curious. And she even said, she was like, yeah, that's how I was yesterday for the college football game. She was having a beer that day, but she's like, yeah, I mean, I only drink once a weekend. And yesterday I was out for the college games and didn't drink. So all of that to say, I think we take things way too personally. Most people do not freaking care. And I think I would encourage you as somebody who does still incorporate alcohol in their life, coming from me, like somebody who does still incorporate it and has went through different stages of feeling really bad for that, especially in the fitness community, wondering if I should cut it out completely, been on the other extreme and been like, screw it, I'm gonna do whatever I want. There is a middle ground. Okay. And I think that the middle ground comes from making sure that these five like excuses for drinking are not the reasons you drink. Okay. I think for me, the reasons that I might incorporate alcohol are because genuinely in that moment, I want to, and it's going to add to an experience where I already would be having fun and I already feel comfortable and confident in myself and I would be there regardless. And it just adds a little bit of like, a value add to sip on this nice cocktail with my friends. Okay. So that is my take. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. I promise I will take a little bit of break from the alcohol preachingness here for at least a few episodes. And I'm excited this is our last episode, I think, of September. So excited to see you guys in October. We'll get some fall episodes out. And if there's anything you guys want to see specifically when it ever comes to podcast, please give me thoughts because coming up with these week after week, it can be challenging. But I've really appreciated a lot of the love I've gotten on episodes recently. I've had a lot of you guys reach out and say you really enjoyed something, you learned something from it, and that really means so much. So please keep that going. If you do listen, I would love to hear. Please like, subscribe, send to your friends, share on Instagram. It means the world. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the flip.